Good evening, everyone. I see we already have one person here back from Oz. Hello. I'm a couple of minutes early tonight. I am on grandchild duty. My daughter's on night shift, so Nanny is designated babysitter. We live side by side, so it's all good. We've been through bath times and dinner, and I was ready to go. So we're going to give it a couple of minutes and wait on everybody to get here before we get into the main subject tonight. I think we're just going to focus for a few minutes on current events. I don't know if you saw our show today at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever time it was we went on. We talked about a lot of things. Back from Oz, I see that smiley face. The rest of the crowd should be showing up fairly shortly because, like I said, I am early tonight. But I have not been long. I watched part of the latest Candace Owens episode of what she's had to say about this whole uh, Charlie Kirk situation. I see you out there, Bill. Hey, Mike. I don't think she believes any more of this narrative than we do, folks. It's a very interesting thing that's unspiraling in front of us. Hang on one second. She seems to be questioning the narrative as much as we do. Everything from the suspect to the people who said they were witnesses and one thing and another. I think it's like Dave tells us, hey, Joe, central casting. I think it's all one big show. And I'm almost questioning that it has been put together with enough holes in it that it looks like Swiss cheese, that they wanted us to question it on purpose. Because years ago, those two things in New York fell. It took us years before a lot of us ever questioned that narrative. And I mean, you can look at how many years it took us to question what happened with JFK and then the two buildings. There's a lot of things over time that it has taken us decades or years to even question the narrative that was given to us. But immediately upon Charlie, we were questioning it within hours. And I think that just shows a general distrust that we have for the whole situation. It just seems like we have a lot of mistrust with anything that's being told to us because we were on air when the Charlie thing happened the other day. Daniel didn't know who he was. He'd never listened to him. I'm not going to say that I was okay with all of Charlie's affiliations, but hey, you might not like all my friends. I might not like all of yours. To each his own. But I do know that Charlie was a Christian and Charlie believed in a conversation rather than an argument, which is one of the big things we try to promote with our shows, that there's no need to have discourse or an argument. You will get so much further with a conversation because when you come to argue, you have a point you are trying to prove. So there's no leeway in you for conversation. You're there to prove your point. There's no change in your mind. But that's what tonight's show is about. It is about our mind and our soul. You need to take the moment. Our conscience, which is where we have to be okay with ourselves, with what you do is right or wrong. Your conscience, your moral bar of what's good and what's not good with you. I Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Some of you may know it, some may not. 5 years ago, I would have told you I was probably an atheist. Not quite sure exactly what I was, but I knew that hey Cash, I knew that I wasn't trusting what I had been told growing up, and then I had some nothing terribly bad, just some actors in a church didn't do anything to me. It was just an observation that I didn't think that's how a preacher was supposed to behave, and it wasn't. But, gave me a little bit of a warped sensation of what religion was. I've always been one to question everything. Even in school, I was labeled as defiant. Asked too many questions. That's exactly what my report cards used to say. She asked too many questions. I'm never going to stop asking questions, and I'm never going to stop answering those answers for people when I ask those questions. If I don't have any other goal in life, it is to ask the questions and try to share the answer if I can find the truth. It At times in life we have to stop and let our conscience talk with our consciousness. I'm good, Cash. How are you? Um, and you hear in the Bible, and I'm by no means a Bible expert, folks. I'm learning as we go. I was brought up in the Christian religion, but as far as studying the Bible, I've done more of that since I decided I didn't know what I was than anything else. I've studied as much as I can at this point, multiple religions overlapping. And when I started this thing, I kind of tried to take the, I don't know how to explain it. I took all of the religions and kind of took their story and wrote it down as a basic story. Okay, like what does this religion say the truth is from the beginning? And what did this one say and that one say? And a lot of them have stories that are very similar or line up or seem to cross the same storyline. Um, but I can tell you now, almost 6 years later, that I fully believe in Jesus and Christ. And I think there are a lot of things encoded in the Bible that have been hidden from us so we wouldn't understand it. Um, there are there are too many similarities with the things in nature and the things within us versus the things that are said in the Bible for one not to be in accord with the other. I do know that as time has passed, um, and when I say man, I don't mean man or woman, I mean human. Humans are greedy, controlling, not all of them, but as we know, there are humans that are greedy and power hungry and they want to rule the world. Well, usually when you have people that want to rule the world, they're willing to hide the truth, which we're seeing with the Charlie thing. And just like we just talked about all these other files that are being released, and they're nothing like what we thought they were. Now they're going to release something about Amelia Earhart. People who want control will rewrite the narrative so that they can become the gatekeeper. In time, as I've questioned my faith and the Bible and what of it was real and what of it was not. Um, I seen a lot of things where people were changing things or omitting things. And one of the things I touch on is who King James was. I don't think that guy was a good dude. I think old boy was trying to manipulate is the mildest word I could put into it because when I go and think about a situation like this, there's so many changes and omissions and everything else to the King James. If you if you go and look at who he was as a person, from what we can tell in history, we didn't know him. All we know is what was written down about him. Um, he just didn't seem to be a good dude. Prior to his edit of the Bible, he seemed to be consumed with books on demonology and witches, and he thought that witches were after him. But then I try to add another layer to my understanding. We're talking about a time in history when most people um, couldn't read or write. Having a book in a home was like a treasure. It just was. I mean, there wasn't a library, wasn't a Barnes and Nobles. You didn't just have books in your home. They didn't want their constituents to be intelligent and knowledgeable. As we've seen from how they try to dull us out with all of the distractions, a distracted people are more easier to rule and control. The art of war, divide and conquer. This is the reason in the black and white and red and blue and gay and straight, and it's all for divide and conquer. As long as they keep us fighting amongst ourselves, we're not paying attention to what these mojos are doing. That has not changed. That has been going on since the dawn of man. It goes all the way back to the Council of Nicaea, popes that run churches back then, people who have rewritten Bibles or warped religions for their own profit. And Jesus tells you, lone sharks aren't welcome in the church. And I have problems with these mega churches. I do. I don't know if you've ever seen The Righteous Gemstones. It was on HBO. It's a little adult. There's some language in it. Just gonna warn you up front. But it's got Danny McBride in it. And I like Danny McBride. I'm from South Carolina. He lives in Charleston. A bunch of the other people in his show, it was filmed here in Charleston. But I like Danny McBride. He's a fun guy. Seems to be a good family man. I don't know him personally. But when you go and watch that show, Righteous Gemstones, you understand the absurdity of some of these super churches and the money that is funneled in through these things. And most people, I don't care, when you get that kind of money and you're flying around in multiple private jets, jet setting around the world, you got whole crews of people running your church and you make an appearance every once in a while on a Sunday, and give a 10-minute sermon and you leave and go get on your jet and go to some other conference. That is not what God intended for you to do, in my opinion. It is not about jets and homes in Hawaii. I mean, it's just not. I don't know. That's just me. I don't expect anybody to be of the same opinion as me. I prefer that everybody has their own opinion. But back then, when the King James was edited, not everybody had a book in the house. So this man, King James, he goes and has the Bible edited. And to my understanding, he kind of stood over their shoulder and was like, nope, you need to change that to this and this to that. These are understandings we have. We weren't there. We don't know. They didn't have no smartphone back then to film him. But from what we understand was he oversaw the editing. And then he had it mass produced to be handed out to the people in his country. Well, first off, most of these people can't read and write. Secondly, you have now mortgaged yourself to the hilt to hand out a book that people can't read and write. So why are you trying to disseminate this book so hard? I mean, this man killed his own mama. He conspired with his mother's sister to kill his mom, to consume control and power. I have a lot of questions. I think there's a lot of things that have been left out in there and a lot of things that have been misrepresented to us. And as we know, there are gatekeepers everywhere. Everywhere has gatekeepers. They are all trying to keep us from the truth. So, um, what I'm saying tonight, the reckoning, your soul is at risk. How many times have you ever been in a disagreement, an argument, a fight, whatever you want to call it, with a spouse, a sibling, a parent, and something happens and you're both just kind of yah and back and forth at each other, and you're not accepting any part of the responsibility for how this problem occurred, especially in marriages or relationships. The only thing you want to do is point the finger at, you did this and this hurt me and this is why it hurt me. Well, when you back up, have you taken responsibility for any point in that you had some responsibility? Had you said something or done something previously? Um, And this is where the part of getting your consciousness and your conscience together. We talk about meditating a lot. In the Bible, it tells you multiple times when people struggled with things, they would go into the desert, 40 days, 40 nights, took some bread, went in the desert. There's more to that. If which I'm going to try to make some Ezekiel bread, but it's not an easy process. So, trying to round up all the stuff. I'm going to see what this Ezekiel bread's about. If you haven't heard about it, we'll talk about it in a minute. But when you go to silence, there are so many devices that are in our face today. Like right now, I'm sitting here looking at a smartphone. I'm monitoring my grandbabies next door. They're 12. They're not little. They're 10, 11 years old. I have 2 computers in front of me. There's a smart TV hanging on the wall. Most time during the day when I'm doing research, all 4 of these gizmos are humming with something different. If to give you an insight of how my brain works, if you've ever seen Tony Stark in the Avengers, he's got that screen up there and he's using his hands. It's kind of what my brain looks like inside. Danny laughs at me all the time. Daniel, y'all know him as Daniel. Um, he's not laughing at me. He just pokes fun at me. It's all in good fun. But if you take that Tony Stark theory of what's always going on in your brain, what you saw on TikTok or what you saw on, Bookface, or what you seen on the Witter Twitter, whatever you want to call it. You got to be careful with words these days. You call the name of something else, they don't like you, they'll just shut you down. Um, there's so much of that going on. Plus all the things that happen in our personal lives with your spouses, your kids, your cousins, your friends. Your sister's having an issue, and you've heard it from her, and you're talking about it, so it's on your mind. The only way to resolve these things and to come to a better understanding of them is silence. The sound of silence. In order for your conscience and your consciousness to come together and work resolution out of taking responsibility and being able to take accountability for any part you may have played in the problems in your life. And I mean, this isn't a real thing, but we're just going to say you got fired from your job. You're so mad at your employer. You're like, "Ah, ah, ah, ah," you're all upset. Did you ever take the moment to see maybe why you were fired? Or had you been turning in assignments late? Had you been late regularly? You need to take resolve for the things that you did to create any part of that problem. And I'm not saying that all problem is your problem, but either way, the woes of yourself or the woes of the world, the best thing to do is get quiet. Go somewhere. No caffeine, no nicotine, no sugar, no nothing. Even if it's only for 45 minutes. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes for for your brain to settle down. And when you reach that place of silence and calmness and stillness, you'll start hearing your inner voice. And that's where you work out the accountability and the responsibility for the things going on around you. And once you've worked out those things, then you can start focusing. If you think of your mind like a computer or your cell phone where you've got 37 browsers open, um, if you've got all those browsers open, your computer's just overloaded. It's about to shut down. You start closing them browsers, start addressing those issues. Whether it be something from 30 years ago when you were a teenager, you're still mad at your parents because they took your car away, or, we all got animosity from the past. Just hold up a minute. Go back to that situation now with the wisdom of adulthood and look back at it and go, oh my God, I was a pain in the rear as a teenager. And I was a pain in the rear. I've apologized to multiple people for pain in the rear I was. But until you can take accountability and responsibility, you're never going to clear that browser. The more browsers you clear, by taking accountability, the clearer your mind is to deal with the world, to understand the world around you, to find peace, and to start moving toward a more positive future. Part of the thing I think the world tries to throw at us so much is all of this chaos. And it's like Molotov cocktails being thrown at us. Because I mean, we got, people being pew pewed on TV. You're constantly and like even when you're on TikTok or whatever and you're scrolling through these reels, you're seeing so much chaos in the world that that chaos bleeds in. It sheds off on you. And unfortunately, in I guess you'd call this an occupation or a hobby or whatever that us podcasters do on here, we are always down a rabbit hole. You find some deep, dark stuff in these rabbit holes that will shock your faith in humanity overall. That some of these things could even be going on. And there are many moments that I have had to go to Daniel and just text him and like, "Hey, I need to talk for a minute, man. I gotta clear my brain. I can't. Is this real?" He's been down these rabbit holes much longer than I have, but we both try to take an independent perspective. I do not go to him before I go down a rabbit hole. I go down the rabbit hole, get my perspective, and I come back to him. And I'm like, "Hey, this is what I found. Am I on the wrong road? Am I looking at something?" A lot of times we're down completely separate rabbit holes, similar but separate. There are horrible things that happen in this world to all of us, to children, to what we're not being told. I can go on for days about what we're not being told, which is um, endangering our lives and our health. I have spent so much time. I have a family member who has recently come up with an illness, so I spent quite a bit of time down the parasite rabbit hole. I've learned way more about parasites than I ever wanted to know, and sometimes um, I can't eat meat anymore. I've never been a vegetarian until now. I can't eat meat. I can't swallow it. Like the other morning, I cooked bacon. I love bacon. I love me some bacon. That has been like my favorite food group my whole life was crispy bacon. I can't swallow it. I put it in my mouth, and the thought of it, or the thought of what it might be, or could be, just turned my stomach. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, um, there have been how can I put this delicately without get completely whacked off the air here? Hey everybody. I see everybody out there. I'm looking at your comments as I'm talking. Let's see. The sandwich meat. Not gonna call company names because it was multiples. It wasn't just one. They have tested it and human DNA has been found in it. So then my question become when I ran down that rabbit hole was how much was found in it? Could it be constituted as somebody just enough that somebody on an assembly line, like, accidents happen. They lost a finger or whatever, didn't get caught, blah, 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 weren't gonna stop. No. No, 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 no. The percentage is much higher than that. And so now it has come to the fact that when I started looking into meat and I looked into the Bible and what is said about meat and what pigs are, and I can't eat meat. I have gone completely from I eat a little bit of meat. I've never been a big meat person to I can't do it. I can't stomach it. I can't smell it cooking. Like my son, he was cooking him a sandwich earlier, and the smell of it, the thought of it in my brain. That might sound crazy. I don't care if it does get me a straitjacket. I don't want it anymore because I don't know what it is. I actually made a shirt last night, and it's on my website at the Roxy Files. It's in the merch store, and it's called the WDTA Club. We don't trust anything, and I don't. I don't trust anything I'm told, anything I've seen. You remember the three monkeys? One had his hands over his eyes, one over his ears, one over his mouth. See no, speak no, hear no. That's kind of the world we're living in, folks. See no, speak no, hear no, because you don't know anything that's true anymore. Unless you see it with your own eyes, don't hold it as truth. Because the best I can figure out, they've been lying to us from the get go. The things that were left out of the original version of the Bible, go look at an Ethiopian Bible. Christianity was in Ethiopia long before it ever went to Europe, where the Roman Catholic Church is. Oh, excuse me, I think that's called the Vatican. That was the Roman Empire, if you don't know. One is the same as the other. And now all of a sudden, oh no, no more Happy Meals. I'm done. Don't want no chicken nuggets, that's for sure. Because that ain't chicken. Well, and KFC had the commercials. I don't know if y'all have seen the KFC commercials or not, but they was showing humans being dunked in gravy. Like literally. I don't know if you've seen them or not. We watched them on one of Daniel's episodes. But yeah, they had multiple commercials that looked like cannibalism. Digital ID must be stopped. Yes, it needs to be stopped. We had some viewers on the show today, and they are, yes, the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia. They were talking about how bad it's getting over there, and I actually have someone whom I've I met through Daniel's show, and we talked back and forth, and we've had a couple of video chats. I'm a little concerned. I'm not hearing from him. It was very hard for us to communicate. When we were communicating through email. And the last time we actually had a call, dun, dun, dun. Give me just a minute, Connie, and I'll answer that question for you. We talked for about an hour and a half. There are so many illegal immigrants over there that they're in his apartment building. I think he lives in, of course, they live a little differently than we do. But from what I'm gathering from where he stays at, it's kind of like what I call a quad apartment, kind of like college housing. But you have 4 bedrooms and bathrooms with a central living room and a shared kitchen. We have those over here. They're old campus housing. He left his apartment to go have a conversation with me. Like, he got dressed. We're on, FaceTime. And he leaves his apartment to go find somewhere where nobody will hear what he's saying because he is scared to death to say anything against their government or their immigrants. Because if there's so many of them in the apartment building that if one of them heard it and didn't like what he said, he's scared he'd get his rear end kicked. That's ridiculous. None of us should have to live in a situation like that. Yes, Cash. I have looked into the local meat, but unfortunately, I think my poor brain is damaged beyond the fact of being able to go back to meat now. I grew up, we raised hogs, that kind of thing. I grew up in a very rural area, and it used to be. It's not anymore. I spent most of my life. Hey, Dave. I spent most of my, 10 years old and up living with my grandparents, and they worked on a farm. My granddad was a veteran from the Korean War, and he was disabled because of, things he had come in contact with over there. And my grandmother, up until the day she died in her mid 60s, late 60s, I don't think the woman had probably ever been to a physician but twice in her life. And she ended up having a heart attack and had to have a heart valve replacement. They gave her a staph infection and she was gone before we knew it. I don't like doctors. I don't like hospitals. And I've had a lot of experience with them because as of right now, I'm clocking on the 20 plus surgery button. I've had a lot of surgeries in my life, a lot of medical issues. But anyway, off track. I don't trust the meat. Go look at those commercials. And as we know, they put stuff right in our face. It's like they got to tell us about it to get away with it. It's like it's some part of their thing. They throw it out in our face to tell us about it, and then we're like, "Oh, we told them. They're just too dumb to know." And there's so many things out there that they've stuck right in our face. Soft conditioning is what it's called. With that entertainment box with the programming and the channeling and all that. I don't watch television. There are a few shows I'll watch, but I go seek that show out and watch it and get off of it. I'm not gonna sit there and just watch random stuff. And there was one show I turned on the other night. I'm like, oh, this looks new. It was interesting. Like 6 minutes in, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is what they're putting on primetime TV. Anyway, but this show is supposed to be about taking the time to get quiet. No food, no drink, no nothing. You can live without that for an hour. Go find a quiet, dark place. Doesn't have to be dark. The best place to go is nature, barefooted. Take you the weather's getting better where I'm at, but take you a blanket. Go lay out in your backyard, put your feet against the earth, put your hands on a tree if you want to. Take that quiet moment to reconcile the things within yourself that you can close some of those window browsers in your brain. When you close those window browsers, then you have more time to commune between you and source. And the more you will be able to understand about yourself and what you want from your future. Your future is a constant perception of what you see and how you think. You think about manifesting. When's the last time that you were talking with somebody and you were like, you know what? I ain't seen so and so, Joe, Jim, whatever. I ain't seen him in a while. Next thing you know, Joe or Jim pops up or calls or something. That's called manifesting, whether you believe it or not. Speaking something into existence. We all know that words are spells. That's why they're called spelling contests. If we know that words are spells, regardless of what words you say, you need to make sure you're using the positive ones. One of the things that brought this to light for me, I can't even remember what they call it that I have. Anyway, it's this pattern recognition thing. I started noticing a pattern recognition of how people were talking. The dude that's in office, uh, we're just going to call him Crump. Listen to how he talks. It's big, it's beautiful, it's great, it's fantastic, it's wonderful, it's the best, blah, 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 blah. Everything he says is positive. There's a reasoning behind that. Um, there's a reason for the positive speak. You attract what you put out. If you put out negative, you will get negative. You know, these people who, when you talk to them, all they ever do is complain. Oh my God, I need tires on my car. My back hurts. It was a horrible drive to work. Groceries are too expensive. I can't afford my bills. Well, good gosh, Judy, that's for all of us. But the more you talk about it, the worse it's going to get, the worse you're going to feel about it. Why didn't you get up this morning and say, you know what? Thank God I woke up on this side. It is a beautiful day. The sun is shining. My children are healthy. I am loved. I am loved by God. I have a connection with Source. It is going to be a fantastic day. That's the first minute of your day. Be grateful. Okay, I worked for a Chinese couple one time. Super nice. Um, Long story, they owned a linen company over here in the US. They are now US citizens. And they were super nice. They still went back home to China. They had family here. They had been here for years. But I didn't realize, and I feel so bad about it now. I didn't realize what I was missing out on when I was working for them. Of course, then my eyes were not open then like they are now. Every day, every employee that we had at the linen company, you were gifted this beautiful leather bound gratitude journal. Every day, part of your job, when you got to work, unless there was something was on fire, the first 15 to 30 minutes of your day was supposed to be spent writing in your gratitude journal. They believed that every one of us, when you come back from your lunch hour, should take 30 minutes in the big comfy chair, lay down, close your eyes, and meditate. Every time one of them didn't feel good, she pulled a little pack out of her drawer. They were these little clear cellophane pack, looked like they had flower petals in them. I'm like, what in the world is that woman over there putting in tea? Now I know. The same thing I'm putting in mine now. Because everywhere you walk in your yard, you can take that magnificent little black box in your hand called a smartphone, point it at a weed, and it'll tell you what's good for her. We could get into that on another episode. We ain't got that kind of time tonight, folks. Um, but yeah, take that moment of solitude. If it's at the end of your day, the beginning of your day, or when you're on your lunch hour, sitting in your car, turn the car on, turn the air conditioner on, tune the world out, cut the radio off, put the phone down. Sit there for 30 minutes to an hour with just yourself. For the first few minutes, your brain is going to ramble. You're going to start with, oh goodness, what am I going to cook for dinner tonight? I got to stop and remember to get gas on the way home. I need to stop at the grocery store. Eventually, that will quiet right on down. And when it starts, when the quiet starts, that's when you need to bring your conscience and your consciousness together. That's where you accept responsibility and take accountability for the things that have happened in your past. Things that have happened in your past to you that were brought against you by other people, that wasn't your fault. Nobody's saying you had responsibility or accountability and things for things like that. But you need to stop letting them control your emotions from that moment. Somebody who hurt you in your past, whether you were a child, and something horrible happened, or as a teenager, or you had a crappy parent or a crappy uncle, those things were done to you. But at that moment when it happened, that was when you have to make that decision. That no longer controls me. That no longer plays any part in my daily life. I'm not going to feel bad about my future because of something that somebody else did to me long ago. Don't let them live rent free in your head. Because if somebody hurt you 10 years ago, might have been an ex spouse, might have done something really crappy, might have cheated on you, or, a friend stole money, whatever it was, harboring that today and still toting that with you today, you're still giving them control from back when they done it. And some people do things like that just to hurt you, just to make you hurt, to watch you squirm. And if you're still dealing with that or toting that around in your backpack, that backpack's gonna get heavy, honey, and your back is gonna hurt. And I don't know about y'all, but as I'm getting older, my back just ain't holding up like it was when I was 30. I mean, come on now, my backpack is full. I've had to unpack it. Unpack the crap. The crap that you didn't want to deal with, the crap that you didn't want to talk about. You don't have to talk about it with anybody else. Talk about it with you and God. Take a minute. Calm your mind. No sugar, no caffeine, no nicotine, no distractions, no nothing. You, peace and quiet, and nature is best. All right, let's see. Let's look at the comments here. The Ethiopian Bible. I don't have an actual copy in hand. I've found a couple of sources online that I have been referencing. Lately, my Bible thing has been on the Book of Enoch. There is a free version. It is a PDF. I can direct you of where to go get it if anybody wants to read the Book of Enoch. It's in large print in the PDF. Negative emotions are what demons feed off of. It's called loosh. Yes. Now, Connie, loosh can be negative or positive energy. It's energy in and of itself. This was one of my concerns over the past couple of weeks of what we had going on with all of these Molotov cocktails being thrown at us. Because the first thing you had was you had the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Well, then we're going to have a memorial for him on that Sunday, which I watched. I'm not going to deny it. I watched it from beginning to end. I enjoyed hearing Charlie Kirk debate, but I enjoyed the fact that millions upon millions of God fearing people stood up together and were of one mind, praising God. If you believe in if you believe in God, Charlie's in a better place. If Charlie is no longer with us, see, I'm at the point I don't know if the central casting character got killed or if Charlie got killed. Don't know yet. Still working on that and waiting on old Candace Owen to bring out all the details. Get it, girl. Call me if you need some help. Anyway, but we had a massive amount of the Christian population in this world that were all together at one time mentally praising God, singing prayers, listening to prayers. Then you had Rosh Hashanah. Then all of a sudden at the Vatican, you had the Knights Templar who have been out of the picture for 700 years. We can go down that whole rabbit hole on another night. Maybe that's next week's show because we're going to have to get back to the Rh negative blood thing of what I found out. Um, and you got all these other religions having major things all around the world. Uh, yes, Roxy, love to get the PDF of Enoch. If you go to, hang on one second. Let me see if I can screen present. Share screen. Window. I'll go here to the window where I'm watching chat. Let's see. All right. Y'all know that on a regular basis, I decode the Ingersoll Lockwood website. I take Ingersoll Lockwood and I back reference it to 4chan and 8chan with Q post and things that are on here. I'm not a Q fanatic, but it just interests me. I have one of these decode minds where I love to go look at the giblets and put the puzzle pieces together. Okay, if you go to the Ingersoll Lockwood website, go up here to library. When you come down on the library, these are all actual writings. These are of Ingersoll Lockwood. We know about the books that he wrote. Um, this is a Laconics of Cults, which is a very interesting read. I started on it. I've not got all the way through it. I love reading books, y'all. I do. I am a book fanatic, but I stay so far down a rabbit hole, it's hard to find time to read all the books I want to read. But right here, it says Homework Enoch. When you click on it, it will take you to a PDF version of the book of Enoch. There's a prologue in it, but it goes through it. You can it's I don't even know how long this thing is. Hundreds of pages. But you can download it, you can print it, you can save it, you can do whatever you want to do with it. These right here are very interesting. Thorium. They're saying this is going to be the new, safer, cheaper um, than nuclear power. You can actually go on Temu and buy a thorium reactor, which I find a little strange. And at the bottom, here's 4 excellent sources: a non-toxic farming handbook, regenerative grower's guide, a victory garden for bees, and the beginner's guide to heirloom farming. Those are good books, regardless of who's running these websites. I don't buy into anything or all the things that these websites talk about. I just like seeing the puzzle pieces. I'm a puzzle geek. I'm a math geek. But the Book of Enoch is a very interesting read. The Gospels of Mary, the giblets of it that can be found, is a very interesting read. You're most welcome. Um, and I don't know if y'all have ever been on that Ingersoll Lockwood site. Hang on, I'll go back and show you. For any of those that don't know what I go on here and I decode, on the main page is one of the places. I have come across some very, very interesting information on this page. But there are lots of things on here sometimes that you don't see that are here. Uh, you just think this is a normal page. If you've never been on here, you've never seen me do this. But this is the reason my mouse is so big, which you guys can't really see on the screen very well. I have a huge mouse for a reason that when you scroll down the line, see that F? See my mouse change? When you click on it, it'll take you somewhere. The US debt clock. And there's all kind of stuff on there. Then when you go back right here, like there's all kind of stuff. Like these right here just take you to the Small Business Administration, Homeland Security website, Space Force. Now you go right here to etc. and see ET lights up. That takes you to an 2022 annual report on UAPs. The C takes you to aaro.mil. Hang on, let me take these captions off the screen. So maybe let's see. Dun, dun. There we go. When I'm clicking over these things, I still don't think you can see on my screen. But it'll show you what the web address is. Part of the time, the actual web address is part of the code that you're trying to decode. But there's many of these in here. There's one that says Gavin Newsom keeping it all in the family. It's a chart of who his family members are. The next one is the Clinton body count conspiracy theory. The next one is eugenics in America. If you don't know what eugenics is, go look into that. That'll tell you a lot about that pokey jabby thing and why they do what they do. You know, Mr. Schmiel Schmates and his pokey jabbies. Down here in like the address, the 1717, like the web address is whitehouse.gov/IL, which I'm assuming is Ingersoll Lockwood, equals 41020. That's DJT. Lights on green for go. Where we go one, we go all. So where we go one, we go all, that is actually a reference to collective consciousness. It's not a military term. Um, there's lots of interesting things on that site. You can go out and you can actually take and like click and drag down the page and highlight stuff, and other things will pop up. And it's kind of crazy some of the stuff you find on there. It's just a puzzle. And that's my morning crossword puzzle, folks. That's what I do every morning when I first get up. I get my coffee, I come in and I sit down. I'm like, do I have any new crosswords to fill out today? Let's see. I'm looking at Connie. I don't think Charlie died. There was a trap door. He was taken to Valhalla Island, which is Goat Island. I'm my personal belief, theory. I'm not going to say belief. I'm going to say theory. I'm not quite sure what I feel about all of this shit. If he is gone from this world, we've lost a good man, from what I could tell. I do know that 2 weeks prior to what happened, he was kind of threatened that if he spoke out or didn't speak correctly about that country or that government, I'm not gonna say that country, that government, that they were gonna pull his funding, and he's like, "That's okay, I don't want your money anyway. You're not gonna tell me how I can talk." And there were threats made then. I don't know if they were that direct, but there were threats made. Then this happens. I almost feel like this is a flush operation to bring how is it my grandma used to say, bring the turd to the top. Maybe they made it look like this happened so that we would question the narrative, and then in digging the narrative, we find the truth. Because we wouldn't believe the truth if they handed it to us anyway, because we're still going to go dig through it. Question everything. Just question everything. That's what I say. Daniel and myself and Dave, Mike, Shannon, Miss Kim, the whole team, we have, Daniel and I have had a lot of conversations about how we just don't want to take sponsorships. We've got places that you guys can donate to us because we try to be We are trying to be as completely independent with no strings whatsoever to these advertisers or be beholden to take a particular stance or ignore subjects. I think that's one of our biggest things. We don't want to be told that we have to ignore a subject. We're going to talk about it. We might talk about it with a funny word. We might call it something else, but you guys know what we're talking about, and we'll give you enough clues to tell you what we're talking about. We don't want to be beholden to those kind of people. We had email offers from some major companies, for sponsorship. And the first thing Daniel and I saw when we opened the emails, it was, hey, before we can talk to you, you need to sign this NDA. You can't even tell me what you want to tell me without an NDA? Nah, first off, you going to tell me I can't disclose something? If I can't be straight up and honest with you guys about what it is or where it is, nope, I'm all good. I I am at the moment. I got laid off back in the beginning of August, or I say laid off, I got let go. AI took my job. I have been in accounting the majority of my whole life, most of it in a car dealership, but AI took my job. They literally replaced me with computer programs, and I think the way it was put to me, like the first year or whatever, they'll lose money, but in the long run, they'll save hundreds of thousands of dollars not to have me. And now that I'm back out in the job market and I'm trying to find a job, there are no jobs. All the jobs I used to do, taken by AI. They've been simplified. They don't need bookkeepers and accountants and secretaries anymore because it's all automated. And you know as well as I do, when you call in anywhere to get customer service, you're probably talking to Karen in her garage in her home office. AI is going to destroy the face of our job market as we know it. Blue collar jobs, trade jobs, those are going to be super important. Manual jobs, but these smart jobs, as far as sitting behind a desk, running a computer, having an opinion, they don't want your opinion anymore. They're going to let an AI do it. And when we were on the air earlier, Trump come online and he was signing executive orders. The executive order he was signing today was to get AI more involved in the medical field, especially to combat childhood cancer. I got no problem with that. I have a niece who is 32. She's already had cancer. She had cancer shortly after I did, but she was a teenager when she had her first one. And she had this little situation here a while back. Something wasn't feeling right. She kept going to the doctor, had a spot in her mouth. Things weren't feeling right. Went to doctor after doctor. They told her, no, it's just PTSD. You don't have cancer. You just have anxiety because you had cancer before. She was trying to get her teeth fixed from what the chemo had done. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but chemo destroys everything in your body. It has destroyed everything from my teeth to my bones, to my hair, to everything. Everything. Um, it took 6 doctors and about 4 months to actually find out that, yes, she did indeed have precancerous cells in her mouth that were on the verge of turning into cancer, and it was actually blistering up and the skin was peeling. To begin with, it almost looked like she had, like, thrash up under her tongue. But the crazy thing is, all of her blood work that was done in the beginning, we fed it into AI, and AI told us exactly what it took 6 doctors 4 months to tell her. I'm not saying AI is a good thing. I think in some certain situations, it can compile data and come out, with great pattern recognition. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with it taking over the world and taking jobs. I don't know what we're supposed to do after it does take all of our jobs. Okay, I gotta look at Connie's comments. Connie, you going off on me here, girl. I was a talking and I wasn't a reading. Let's see. Charlie and his wife are Freemasons. Had her huge gold ring on. I don't even think that was him in the casket. They look like a wax figure to me. He's been seen doing the devil hand signs and Freemason signs. They serve Lucifer. The problem is they always use the children. Later, you find out it was never about the children. It's about the power off of the children. The whole loosh we talk about, this whole energy harvesting. I told you guys a while back, if you wanted to find out, there's theme parks around the world where you get those cute little black hats with two round ears. Go figure out who put up the roller coasters. Those are harvesting centers. They, from what I understand, I don't know this, I've not seen them. From what I understand, underground, they actually have something to harvest the fear energy of their roller coasters. It's all about harnessing emotion. And as adults, and I'm hoping that everybody in the room tonight is an adult. We're not going to get graphic, but just warning you. Um, when we're talking about adult activities, I call it coloring in the coloring book. That's the way to keep it safe. When you discuss the energy that can be made with fear, love, gratitude, anger, coloring in the coloring book. Coloring in the coloring book is a union of two energies. You can explain this simply by not even talking about coloring in the coloring book. You can just hold hands. If you take a voltage meter and you test yourselves separately and then you test yourself together on a voltage meter that's grounded, you'll see it. Combined power is the frequency is higher, the voltage is higher. The highest frequency you can have is that of gratitude and then of love. That's why I'm telling everybody you need to get a gratitude journal. Make good evening, Spartan. Um, you need to get a gratitude journal, and every day, if it's nothing but one sentence, but I beg you to write a paragraph or a page. Don't just name one thing you're grateful for. I woke up this morning. There's more to it than that. You woke up and you were still able to walk and talk, and get in your car and drive to work. You had a roof over your head. Whatever you're grateful for, no matter how minute or how massive it is, be grateful for it. When you are grateful, you put yourself into an amazing frequency. Your body runs off of frequency. Everything in this world is energy, it all runs off of energy. If you've not seen some of the cymatic studies of frequency, and how it gives you perfect geometry. Go look at the old churches and how they were built, the harmonics inside of them. You can even go to down some of the pyramids, South America pyramids. If you go down there and you stand at particular places in front of them, the ones that have like the steps, I was watching yesterday. I cannot remember the name of it for my life. You stand in front of it, you actually clap your hands. When the sound goes in and it comes back out, it sounds like a bird chirping. There are rocks out there that have all these like waved, grooved patterns over them. If you take another rock and slide over it, it plays music. Frequency is everywhere. Your voice is frequency. The sound of your voice, the words that you use. This is why in the Bible they changed his name to Jesus. Do me a favor. Go research for yourself when the English language started using the word or the letter J. It was long after Jesus walked the face of this earth. They don't want you to say his name correctly, Yahweh. They don't want you to say Yahweh. They want you to say Jesus. They have connected us and conditioned us to that word. Go find the real word. It's not only about the words they hid, it's about the words they changed. The words that come out of your mouth have power, they have a frequency. So make sure you're using the right words. but go find yourself that 30 or 45 minutes a day to go get right and have a conversation with Yahweh. I know Spartan is here. We haven't got a whole lot onto the blood theory I had intended to talk about tonight. We may save that for next Tuesday night, or I may do a show Thursday, depending on what Shannon's going to do. But I have recently, in this gatekeeper of seeing what they kept from us or hid from us or lied to us about, I got down to Mary Magdalene. I come across this thing the other day with genetics where there's a very particular haplogroup that has a very unique bloodline. Lots of pieces go into this puzzle. Lots of pieces. And this is like a whole 2-hour episode, but I'm going to give you the highlights. This haplogroup has very particular markers. Most of those people are Rh negative. Most of those people have direct descendants back to the south of France in the Basque region. My maiden name was Gask. The B got changed to a G when my great 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 granddaddy come over here and whatever, but he was John of Basque. He got changed to John Gask. That's how immigration worked back then. Like I said, not everybody could read and write, and if they could write, they might not could read real good. It just wasn't a common thing. It sorry, I got a weird text, but if you go back and you look at that and you connect it to many things, the Knights of the Templar were said to have been in charge of protecting Mary and the Holy Grail. Well, many times we've been taught that this theory of the Holy Grail was a cup. I don't think it was a cup. I think it was a bloodline. I can't prove that. I know that's not what they said in the Bible, but we also know that they ain't told us the truth about all of that. They've hid a lot of it. There's a lot of things that other gospels said that they have left out. Why did you particularly leave these gospels out? And a lot of the gospels that were left out, they are particularly engineered to leave out things about a possible bloodline. Um, they're saying, from what I'm gathering, that this genetic haplogroup of DNA was part of possible Moravian royalty. But I'm going down that road, and I'm particularly interested in it because I am in that haplogroup. I don't think I've told anybody that but Daniel, so now you all know. I would have never done a 23andMe DNA thing, but a few years ago, after my dad passed, my mom wanted us all to do some testing, and I did it, and I've got the information, and it tells you're connected to this one or that one. Well, then once I had my raw DNA data, I went to this other geneticist thing. It's a genome link to ancient burial sites and pulls out your haplogroups and all kind of stuff. But yeah, see, I've often wondered why I'm so different. A lot of people that are Rh negative, especially O negative, um, we have some really strange anomalies. In Spartan, I don't know if you do or not, but I have an extra vertebrae. I have a partial extra rib. I have some really freaky looking eye colors, depending upon what type of room you're in with what kind of light. Inside, out, outside, fluorescent, incandescent, it changes. There's some other physical anomalies. Like my vertebrae, my parents were always told it was a birth defect. I found out that a lot of us Rh negatives all have this same weird anomaly. And now, when I go back to this halo group of genetics, and I know this is going to sound crazy, guys, but if you go back to this particular haplogroup of genetics, Rh negative normally only have, one child without issue up until a certain time when they come up with this shot. It's called a ROGAM shot. If they didn't know it back in the day, if you were Rh negative, your first pregnancy would be fine. The second one, third, fourth, fifth, a lot of them would miscarry. They would never carry the baby more than 29 weeks. I miscarried at 29 weeks. He survived. He's currently in there now playing an Xbox. He's grown and 30 and still lives with his mama. But he survived. He didn't weigh but a pound and 13 ounces. He's not supposed to be here. And he's part of the reason that I've been screaming since 1998 that those sticky pokies cause autism. I knew it. And now they've come out and said it. And I'm like, yes, I was right. But there are a lot of anomalies with the Rh negative. So if you take the Rh negative into that, each Rh negative would only have one heir, and you come forward with that based on the percentages of the population that would have this haplogroup genetic anomaly, um, they would roughly number about 144,000. Still working on the math. I ain't positive on that because I've done it a couple of times. I'm like, no way. So now I got to go back and disprove myself. That's how I approach everything. I approach everything that I think as disproving myself. I want to prove myself that I'm wrong, that this can't be the truth. But um, yes, Connie, they have twisted everything and they've twisted the words and what they tell us and what we're supposed to call them. So we've been at this about an hour, guys. But I am. Hang on a second, and I'll show you the new shirt. There's a new shirt. I made us a new shirt. Let's see. Let's see if I can go to my website. I can't even type in my own website name. Isn't that sad? I'm a sad case tonight. Not enough fingers. I don't even think it shared the right screen. Let's see. Entire screen. There we go. Close out of that. We don't need coding. I was sitting around playing last night, and I don't know. Some of you ladies might have seen her. Some of y'all not. Yes, there's lots of autoimmune issues. It's an epidemic. But there was a lady on TikTok. She's menopausal, like some of us are. And she created a We Do Not Care Club, talking about ladies over a certain age. We do not care if we wear our pajama pants to Walmart. We do not care if we have not put on makeup in 2 weeks. We do not care. We just don't after a certain age. All of that care is gone. So here we go. I made us a club t-shirt. I'm not real crazy about where the layout is on it, but it's a working process. It's the We Don't Trust Anything Club, the WDTA. So welcome to the club, folks. Glad to have you here with us. There's other shirts on there. I'm working on some other ones. Nothing on here particularly, you know, new. Some of them just say the Roxy Files, or there's a couple of Smart Alec t-shirts on there. I haven't even put my Noah one on there. I've got one about Noah. It says everybody said Noah was a conspiracy theorist until it started to rain. Ain't it? And as you know, we got the tinfoil hat contest going on the Supernatural show. If you so ever wish to make a donation, this is where that is at. It's on the front page. Here's my buy me a coffee link. A little bit about me. It's just a basic. I haven't put anything too much on here. Oh, the parasite schedule. If you We have a parasite cleansing. You go here. It will It shows you it's $0. You just hit the download. It's going to ask you, you have to go up to your shopping cart and you do the checkout. And it's going to ask you the checkout information like it's shipping it. That's just so that I have your email address and stuff on file. You just put your email address in here and you can sign up or you cannot. There's no payment. It says 0. You hit continue. It'll go over and it'll give you the download link. It's a couple of steps, but I'm just gathering emails, so I have a way to email all you guys. But if you ever have any trouble, I hope everybody's part of the 10 Pull Hat Club. If you've not joined the 10 Pull Hat Club, you can go over to the main network page, which is the Supernatural Show. And right here, as you will see, we're having a 10 Full Hat contest. We're going to carry it on through the month of October. There will be some little prizes, and there'll be, I think Daniel's giving away a Walking Liberty coin. I'm going to throw in a coffee cup, some other stuff like that. Um, okay, I'm looking at your comment, Cash. You were so awesome, Cash. Thank you. Our schedule, and normally on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, well, Monday and Friday, because Daniel does a show by himself on Wednesdays now. But Monday and Friday, if we're doing a group show or whatever, you can come here beyond the veil. And oh, that's my daughter. She's at work. When you go beyond the veil, you can see us here live in like a green room setting before everything. Hang on, guys. 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah, babe. I'll be over in a minute. Sorry, that was grandchildren. I actually thought that was a real thing. It comes through as my daughter's number. Making sure there was no emergencies. I have to keep them little humans alive over there. But you can watch us here before the show. There's all kind of cool stuff on Daniel's website, like the Angel Cruise information. We're gathering it to see if anybody wants to go. You can go to my website. You can contact us through email or any of those things. We love hearing from you guys. And I think it has just been so cool to me that for like the past couple of weeks, I get an email or two each day from different viewers with different stories to tell me. So I really love the interaction. I love talking with you guys. Um, I do. I've I've seen so many of you now that come and support, and you're here all the time. Mike and Dave are always around, and then there's Miss Connie and Miss Carol and Cash, and it's just you guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being a part of this with me. And I hope to do you all proud, and I hope to bring you all the truth that I can bring. But just remember, be grateful. Take time to write it down. Take that 30 minutes or an hour to get by yourself and get quiet and bring accountability and responsibility in your life. And when you clear those browsers out, then you can make a better connection to source. But go find the source. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful vibration to be in. If you can't do nothing else, go get barefooted and hug a tree. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for joining us. Love you all. Have a good evening. Good night.